The impossible stand. The void of space stretched endlessly around the HSS Vigilant, humanity's newest frontier warship. Designed as a fast response vessel, she was sleek and angular, her hull gleaming with the metallic sheen of quantum-resistant alloys. Her crew of 127 had been handpicked from Earth's finest, each specializing in their field, each prepared to defend the outer colonies with their lives. But nothing had prepared them for what now appeared on their long-range scanners. Captain Ilara Kwan stood motionless on the bridge, her dark eyes fixed on the tactical display. She'd earned her command through 15 years of distinguished service, surviving 3 interstellar conflicts and more first-contact situations than anyone in the fleet. The scar that ran from her left temple to her jaw told stories of close calls and hard-won battles. But this was different. "Run the scan again," she ordered, her voice cutting through the stunned silence that had fallen over the bridge. Lieutenant Commander Raf Chen, her tactical officer, swallowed hard. "Already did, Captain. 3 times. The count remains consistent. We're detecting 1,026 vessels approaching from the Cygnus Arm. Formation indicates coordinated movement. Energy signatures match nothing in our database." The bridge crew exchanged glances. They all understood what this meant. "Communications." Kwan turned to her comms officer. "What's our status with Central Command?" Ensign Ji Young Park looked up from her console, her face pale. "The quantum entanglement relay is still offline, Captain. The ion storm disabled it 6 hours ago. Standard comms are being blocked by something in the alien fleet. We're cut off." Kwan nodded slowly, processing the information. The Vigilant had been patrolling the border of human space, 12 light years from the nearest colony and 18 from any significant military presence. They were alone. "Dr. Okafor," Kwan addressed the ship's chief science officer. "What's your assessment?" Dr. Mkeoma Okafor stood from her station, her tall frame commanding attention. "Based on their trajectory and speed, they're headed directly for the Artemis colonies. At their current velocity, they'll reach the first settlements in approximately 72 hours. The Artemis system, 4 planets, 16 orbital habitats, and nearly 12 million human lives." "And our position?" Kwan asked, though she already knew the answer. "We are the only human vessel between them and Artemis," Commander Sarah Levinson, her XO, stated flatly. 1 ship against 1,000. The math was simple and brutal. Kwan paced the bridge, feeling the weight of every life in the Artemis system pressing down on her shoulders. The Vigilant was outfitted with the latest human weapons technology, but she was designed for reconnaissance and surgical strikes, not for facing an armada. "What about the Nexus drive?" Kwan asked, turning to the one person who had remained silent until now. Dr. Xiaodan Wei, the architect of the ship's experimental propulsion system, looked up sharply. His eyes widened behind his glasses. "Captain, the Nexus drive is still in testing phase. We're months away from combat certification." "Theory," Dr. Wei. "In theory, what can it do against multiple targets?" Wei hesitated, then activated his console. A holographic model of the Vigilant appeared in the center of the bridge, surrounded by a pulsating field of blue energy. "The Nexus drive creates a quantum field that allows us to fold spacetime in a localized bubble. In simple terms, we can appear and disappear at different coordinates within a limited range almost instantaneously," Wei explained. "But using it in combat could disrupt their formation." Rafe Chen finished, his tactical mind already processing the possibilities. "We could strike from multiple vectors, create confusion, or tear the ship apart," Wei cautioned. "The stress on the hull during transition is enormous, and each jump depletes our energy reserves significantly." Kwan walked to the main viewport, staring out at the stars. She had spent her life defending humanity among those stars, and now they seemed cold and indifferent to the threat approaching. "Time until the alien fleet detects us?" she asked. "At our current position, approximately 3 hours," Chen responded. Kwan turned to face her crew. The looks on their faces ranged from fear to determination, but all watched her, waiting for direction. For hope. "I need options," she said firmly. "Not for retreat, not for surrender, but for how one ship can delay 1,000 long enough for reinforcements to reach Artemis." The senior officers exchanged glances, and then Commander Levinson stepped forward. "We could attempt to draw them away from their course. Make ourselves a more tempting target." "With what?" Chen questioned. "We'd need something valuable enough to divert an invasion force." Dr. Okafor tapped her console thoughtfully. "What if we made them believe we possess something they want? The Nexus drive technology itself might be valuable enough." Or, Rafe Chen added, his expression darkening, "we could make them believe we're preparing to destroy something they need. If they're invading, they want our resources intact." Quan nodded, the beginnings of a plan forming in her mind. "Dr. Wei, how quickly can you prepare the Nexus drive for combat jumps?" We looked uncomfortable. 12 hours for proper calibration and safety." "You have 4, Quan interrupted. "Lieutenant Chen, I want tactical simulations based on what little we know about their ships. Ensign Park, continue trying to get through to command. Commander Levinson, prepare the crew for battle stations." As her officers moved to their tasks, Quan opened the ship-wide communication channel. The faces of her crew appeared on screens throughout the bridge. Engineers, medical staff, gunners, all looking to her. "This is Captain Quan. By now you've heard about the alien fleet approaching our space. I won't minimize the threat. We are facing an enemy force of unprecedented size with unknown capabilities. They're headed for the Artemis colonies, and right now, we are the only thing standing between them and 12 million civilians." She paused, letting the reality sink in. "Conventional wisdom says we should retreat, observe, and report back. But by the time reinforcements arrive, Artemis would be lost. So we're going to do something unconventional. We're going to show these invaders that even a single human ship is a force to be reckoned with." Quan straightened her uniform, her voice gaining strength. "We carry with us humanity's most advanced defense systems and an experimental drive that might just give us an edge. Every minute we delay this fleet means more civilians evacuated, more time for our military to prepare a proper defense. I don't expect us all to survive this mission, but I do expect us all to remember who we are. We are the shield of Earth, the guardians of humanity among the stars." The faces watching her showed fear, but also pride and resolve. They had all sworn an oath to protect human space, knowing the risks. "Battle stations in 30 minutes. Quan out." As the communication ended, Dr. Wei approached her privately. "Captain, I need to be clear about the Nexus drive. Even if we get it operational, using it repeatedly in combat conditions could have unpredictable consequences." "Noted, Doctor. But right now, unpredictable might be our only advantage." Quan's expression was resolute. "Get it done." 3 hours later, the HSS Vigilant hung in space at the edge of the Artemis system. The alien fleet had maintained its course, a vast swarm of vessels ranging from small interceptors to massive carriers, all moving with unnatural precision. On the bridge, tension had given way to focused determination. Each officer knew their role in the desperate gambit they were about to attempt. "Nexus drive status?" Quan asked, settling into her command chair. "Online but unstable," Dr. Wei reported from engineering. "I've programmed 3 jump coordinates as you requested. The drive will need at least 45 seconds to recalibrate between jumps." "Understood. Weapons status?" "All systems green," Chen confirmed. "Quantum torpedoes armed and targeting systems locked on the lead vessels. Shields?" "At maximum," Levinson reported. But against that many ships, she didn't need to finish. They all knew what they were facing. "They'd spotted us," Park announced suddenly. "Energy spikes in multiple vessels. They're arming weapons." Quan took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her decision. One ship against 1,000 was madness, but sometimes madness was all you had. "Send the message we prepared," she ordered. Park nodded, transmitting the carefully crafted bluff. A warning that the Vigilant carried a devastating new weapon that could destroy the aliens' entire fleet, along with a demand for their immediate withdrawal. The response came almost immediately. "They're not buying it," Park reported. "Multiple vessels accelerating toward our position." "As expected," Quan said calmly. "Prepare for Nexus jump on my mark. Destination Alpha." The bridge crew secured themselves in their seats as the Nexus drive began to hum, the sound resonating through the ship like a living heartbeat. On the tactical display, 50 alien vessels broke from the main fleet, accelerating toward the Vigilant. Their weapons were charging, targeting solutions locked. "Captain," Chen warned, "we have incoming." "Now, Dr. Wei," Quan commanded. The universe seemed to fold around them. For a split second, every crew member felt as though they were everywhere and nowhere at once, their very atoms stretched across space. Then reality snapped back, and the Vigilant reappeared, directly behind the alien detachment that had moved to intercept them. "Fire everything we have," Quan ordered. The Vigilant's weapons arrays lit up, unleashing a barrage of quantum torpedoes and concentrated plasma beams. 3 alien vessels erupted into silent explosions before the others could react to the ship's sudden appearance. "Direct hits on 3 targets," Chen reported, unable to keep the surprise from his voice. "They're turning to engage." "Prepare for jump beta," Quan ordered as alien energy weapons began to lock onto their position. The ship lurched again, the Nexus drive straining as it folded space around them once more. This time they appeared on the flank of the main fleet, targeting what appeared to be a command vessel. "Fire at will," Quan commanded, gripping her chair as the ship shuddered under the strain of the experimental drive. The Vigilance guns roared again, unleashing destructive energy on the unsuspecting alien vessel. Its shields flared and failed under the concentrated assault. For a moment, it seemed as though their desperate gambit might work. One ship striking from multiple vectors, creating confusion and discord in the alien ranks. But then alarms blared across the bridge. "Multiple weapons locks," Chen shouted. "They're adapting to our movement patterns." The ship rocked violently as alien energy weapons found their mark. Shields flared, absorbing the devastating energy, but warning indicators flashed across every console. "Shield integrity at 60%. Levinson reported through gritted teeth. "We can't take many more hits like that." "Nexus drive status for jump gamma," Quan demanded. Dr. Wei's voice came through strained with concern. "The drive is overheating, Captain. Structural integrity of the quantum field is degrading. One more jump might." His words were cut off as another barrage struck the Vigilant, throwing crew members against bulkheads and consoles. Sparks erupted from several stations as power surged through damaged circuits. "Shields at 38%, Levinson reported, blood trickling from a cut on her forehead. "Hull breaches on decks 4 and 7. Emergency containment holding." On the tactical display, the situation was clear. The alien fleet had recovered from their initial surprise. Hundreds of vessels were now turning toward the Vigilant, weapons charging. They had hurt the enemy, disrupted their formation, but the sheer numbers were overwhelming. Captain Quan looked around at her bridge crew, bruised, bloodied, but unbowed. They had known the odds. They had chosen to stand anyway. "Prepare for jump gamma," she ordered, her voice steady despite everything. "Target their central command vessel." Dr. Wei's voice came through the comm system, strained but determined. "Captain, the Nexus drive is critically unstable. If we jump again..." "We knew the risks when we volunteered for this mission, Doctor," Quan cut him off. "The question is simple. Can we make one more jump?" There was a pause, filled only by the sound of damage control alerts and the distant boom of weapons fire against their failing shields. "Yes, Captain," Wei finally responded. "But I cannot guarantee where we'll end up, or if we'll survive the transition." Quan looked at the tactical display one last time. The alien fleet surrounded them now, a wall of hostile ships closing in from all sides. But they had disrupted the invasion timeline, created confusion in the enemy ranks. Perhaps it would be enough to give Artemis a fighting chance. All hands, she broadcast shipwide. This is Captain Quan. Prepare for Nexus Jump Gamma. It has been my greatest honor to serve with each of you. She met the eyes of each bridge officer in turn, seeing in them not defeat but fierce pride. Jump, she commanded. The universe folded around them one final time as the HSS Vigilant vanished into the quantum void, leaving behind a momentarily confused alien armada, and a legacy of courage that would soon become legend throughout human space. Humanity ascendant. The Nexus jump tore through reality with violent force. The HSS Vigilant shuddered and groaned as though being ripped apart at the atomic level. On the bridge, warning sirens blared and emergency lighting flickered. Captain Quan's vision blurred, her consciousness stretching across what felt like infinite space before snapping back with brutal force. Status report, she demanded, fighting through the disorientation that followed the jump. For several seconds, only static answered her. Then, gradually, systems began to come back online. Emergency power engaged, casting the bridge in an eerie red glow. Shields at 12%. Commander Levinson reported, wiping blood from a gash above her eye. Hull breaches on multiple decks. Automated containment fields holding, but we've lost pressure in sections 9 through 14. Weapons? Quan asked, pulling herself upright in her command chair. Lieutenant Chen checked his damaged console. Primary weapon arrays offline. Secondary systems at minimal capacity. We can fight, but not effectively. Location. Ensign Park worked frantically at the navigation station. Unknown, Captain. The Nexus drive. It jumped us farther than projected. We're calculating position now. Dr. Wei's voice came through the comms, strained and halting. Captain, the Nexus drive has suffered catastrophic damage. The quantum matrix is collapsing. We've stabilized it temporarily, but another jump is impossible. Quan nodded grimly. They had known this was a one-way mission. Casualties. 17 confirmed dead, reported Dr. Abernathy, the chief medical officer. 43 injured, 12 critical. We're doing what we can with limited medical supplies. Quan absorbed the losses, each one a face, a name, a life under her command. But there was no time to mourn. Not yet. I need eyes, people. Where are we? And where is the alien fleet? The main view screen flickered to life, revealing a stunning sight. The Vigilant drifted in a vast nebula, swirls of vibrant blue and purple cosmic gas surrounding them like an ethereal ocean. Distant stars shimmered through the colorful haze. We're in the Helix Nebula, Park announced with disbelief. Captain, that's over 800 light-years from our previous position. Stunned silence fell over the bridge. The Nexus drive had never demonstrated anything close to that capability in testing. The alien fleet, Quan pressed. No sign of pursuit, Chen reported, his voice mixing wonder and confusion. We're alone here. Dr. Okafor approached the captain, her scientific curiosity overcoming even their dire situation. Captain, this shouldn't be possible. The Nexus drive was designed for short-range tactical jumps, not interstellar transportation. Something extraordinary happened during that jump. Theories, Quan asked. The quantum field must have interacted with the alien weapons fire in some unexpected way, Okafor hypothesized, perhaps creating a cascading effect that amplified the jump distance exponentially. Commander Levinson interrupted. Captain, long-range sensors are coming back online. There's something unusual out there. The tactical display revealed what at first appeared to be debris, scattered chunks of metal and composite materials drifting through the nebula. But as the sensors refined their scans, a pattern emerged. Those are ships, Chen said, leaning forward. Hundreds of them. But the configuration is identical to our alien fleet, Quan finished, stunned by the implication. Dr. Okafor ran additional scans. These vessels show no power signatures. Many appear to have suffered catastrophic damage. Based on the particulate decay, they've been here for centuries, at least. The same aliens who attacked us? Levinson asked. The design similarities are undeniable, Okafor confirmed. It appears we've stumbled upon a graveyard of their fleet. Quan's tactical mind raced. Park, check if communications are operational. Why, I need you on the bridge immediately. As the crew worked to unravel this mystery, Dr. Wei arrived, looking haggard but determined. His lab coat was singed, and a bandage covered his right hand. The Nexus drive is beyond repair, he reported immediately. But before it failed completely, I managed to download the jump data. He connected his tablet to the main console, and complex equations filled the screen. During the jump, the drive interacted with the alien weapons fire in a way I never anticipated. Their energy weapons operate on principles similar to our quantum technology. When they hit us during the jump, instead of disrupting the field, they actually enhanced it, creating what I can only describe as a quantum resonance cascade, which sent us 800 light-years across space, Quan said. And possibly through time as well, Wei added quietly. The bridge fell silent again as the implications sank in. Explain, Quan ordered. We gestured to the graveyard of alien ships surrounding them. The quantum resonance may have propelled us not just through space, but through time. These ships could be from our battle, but centuries after it occurred. That's impossible, Levinson protested. As impossible as jumping 800 light-years in an instant, Wei challenged. The mathematics support it. Quantum mechanics has always suggested the possibility of temporal displacement under extreme conditions. Before anyone could respond, Ensign Park called out from her station. Captain, I'm detecting a faint transmission. It's using an old Earth frequency. Pre-first contact protocols. On speakers, Quan ordered. Static filled the bridge, punctuated by fragments of a message in a language none of them recognized. After a moment, the ship's AI began translating. Final warning to all who would follow. The harvesters cannot be defeated conventionally. Their hive mind adapts too quickly. Our sacrifice was necessary. The resonance weapon worked, but at terrible cost. We are lost in space and time. If any human vessel finds this message, the coordinates for their homeworld are. The message repeated, cycling through the same warning. The timestamp on this message, Park said, voice shaking, it's dated nearly 300 years in the future. Captain Quan stood from her command chair, approaching the view screen to study the ancient battlefield. We're not looking at the aftermath of our battle, she realized. We're looking at the aftermath of a future war. A war we're supposed to win. Dr. Okafor worked rapidly at her console. Captain, I've analyzed the debris field. The damage patterns are consistent with a massive quantum detonation, similar to what our Nexus drive would produce if it went critical. A weapon, Chen said. They turned the Nexus drive into a weapon. We nodded slowly, understanding dawning on his face. The resonance cascade we experienced, a controlled version, could theoretically disrupt the quantum fields that bind matter together. Against a fleet that operates on similar principles, it would be devastating, Quan finished. And based on this message, it worked. Commander Levinson approached Quan, speaking quietly. Captain, even if we have this information, what does it matter? We're stranded here, 800 light-years from home, with no way to return. Quan turned to her communications officer. Park, you said the alien fleet was using something to block our communications earlier. What if it wasn't blocking, but jamming? Disrupting the quantum entanglement? It's possible, Park replied. But why? Because they feared it, Quan realized. They feared our ability to communicate instantly across vast distances. Dr. Wei, is the quantum entanglement relay damaged? Wei checked the ship's diagnostics. The relay itself is intact, but the calibration was disrupted during the jump. I might be able to repair it, but... Do it, Quan ordered. Park, help him. If we can re-establish quantum communication with command, we can send them everything we've learned. about the aliens, about their weakness, about the weapon that will eventually defeat them. Hope began to flicker across the faces of her crew. They might be stranded, but their mission wasn't over. 6 hours later, the bridge had transformed into a makeshift laboratory. Dr. Wei and his engineering team worked alongside Ensign Park and Dr. Okafor, repurposing damaged components to rebuild the quantum entanglement relay. Captain Quan moved through the ship, visiting the injured, comforting the dying, rallying those still able to work. The Vigilant was critically damaged, life support functioning at minimal capacity. They had days, perhaps a week, before systems failed completely. It was a race against time, but one driven by newfound purpose. Captain Levinson called as Quan returned to the bridge. Long-range sensors have detected movement on the edge of the debris field. Quan tensed. The aliens? Negative. Different configuration entirely. They appear to be observing. The view screen adjusted to show 3 sleek vessels hovering at the periphery of the ancient battlefield. Their design was elegant, almost organic, with flowing lines and pulsating energy patterns along their hulls. First contact protocols, Quan ordered. Broadcast on all frequencies, standard greeting package. Park worked quickly, but before the message could be sent, the alien vessels moved closer. Their approach was cautious but not threatening. "They're scanning us," Chen reported. "Passive scans only. No weapons locks." A signal appeared on Park's console. "Captain, they're transmitting. Audio and visual." "On screen," Quan ordered, straightening her uniform despite its battle damage. The view screen flickered, revealing a being unlike any humanity had encountered before. It appeared vaguely humanoid, but with iridescent skin that shifted colors like oil on water. Multiple eyes, arranged in a circular pattern, blinked independently. When it spoke, its voice resonated with harmonic undertones. "Human vessel," the translation matrix interpreted. "We observe your distress. Your presence here is unexpected." Quan stepped forward. "I am Captain Ilara Quan of the Earth ship Vigilant. We arrived here accidentally during battle and are in need of assistance." The alien's eyes blinked in a rippling pattern. "We know of Earth. We have observed from afar, but never interfered. The harvesters threatened our worlds once, long ago. We fled rather than fight. Many species have fallen to them." "The harvesters," Quan repeated. "The fleet that attacked us. They consume all resources, strip worlds bare, then move on," the alien explained. "They are ancient and relentless. Yet here we find a single human vessel amidst the remains of a harvester fleet. This defies understanding." Quan made a decision. "We have discovered information about a weapon that will defeat them. If you help us repair our communication systems, we can warn our people, prepare them." The alien was silent for a long moment, its skin shifting through shades of blue and purple. "You would stand against the harvesters, one species against a force that has consumed 1,000 worlds." "We already did," Quan replied, gesturing to the debris field around them. "These are the remains of their fleet, defeated by humans in a battle that, for us, hasn't happened yet. We were thrown through time as well as space." The aliens' colors pulsed rapidly. Their equivalent of astonishment, Quan guessed. "Temporal displacement. This explains the anomalous readings. Your vessel carries technology capable of this." Dr. Wei stepped forward. "Not intentionally. It was an accident, a resonance effect between our drive and their weapons." "Which became the weapon that defeated them," the alien concluded, making the connection immediately. "Fascinating. The mathematical improbability of your survival, your discovery, your presence here at this precise moment. It suggests a pattern beyond random chance." The alien conferred with others off-screen, their musical language untranslatable. When they returned their attention to Quan, their color had shifted to a deep, resolute gold. "We are the Vril. We have hidden from the harvesters for millennia, watching them consume one civilization after another. We believed resistance was futile. You have shown us otherwise. The Vril commander's voice took on a new tone. We will assist you, Captain Quan, not only to repair your communications, but to ensure your message reaches Earth across both time and space. Relief washed over the bridge crew, but Quan remained cautious. Why would you help us? You said yourself you've avoided conflict with the harvesters. Because in all our observations of countless species, none have done what you did, the Vril replied. One ship against 1,000, knowing you could not win, yet fighting anyway. Such courage deserves witness. Such determination deserves alliance. Within hours, Vril engineers were aboard the Vigilant, their advanced technology making quick work of repairs that would have been impossible for the human crew alone. As they worked, more Vril ships arrived, dozens, then hundreds, emerging from hiding places throughout the nebula. They've been watching this battlefield, Dr. Okafor realized as she worked alongside a Vril scientist, studying it, learning from it. For generations, the Vril confirmed. This site represents the only known defeat of the harvesters in their long history of conquest. We did not understand how it occurred until now. In the ship's conference room, Captain Quan met with the Vril commander, studying star charts that span not just space but time. The harvesters follow predictable patterns, the Vril explained. They harvest resources in a spiral pattern outward from their core systems, returning periodically to their homeworld to deliver what they've gathered. Earth lies directly in their path. How much time does Earth have? Quan asked. Based on their usual velocity, they would reach your homeworld within one of your Earth years. But the fleet you encountered was moving faster than their standard approach. They're accelerating their timeline, Quan realized. Something has made them desperate. The Vril's colors shifted to a contemplative green. Perhaps they sense their own ending approaching. Perhaps they know, somehow, that humanity will be their downfall. As the repairs neared completion, Dr. Wei and the Vril scientists finalized the modifications to the quantum entanglement relay. The device had been enhanced beyond its original specifications, incorporating Vril technology that stabilized the quantum field. This will allow your message to reach Earth, the Vril scientist explained. But the temporal coordinates are more difficult. We cannot send you back physically. That would require energy equivalent to a supernova. But we can ensure your message arrives before the battle you just fought. Quan gathered her senior officers. Despite their injuries and exhaustion, determination burned in their eyes. Our mission has changed, she told them. We set out to delay an invasion fleet long enough for reinforcements to arrive. Instead, we've discovered how to defeat them entirely. We've found allies who've hidden in fear for millennia, but are now willing to stand with humanity. She gestured to the viewport, where hundreds of Vril ships now hovered in formation around the Vigilant. We may never return home ourselves, Quan continued, but we will save Earth. And in doing so, we'll liberate countless worlds from the shadow of the harvesters. They worked through the night, compiling everything they had learned. The quantum resonance effect, the vulnerability in the harvester fleet's communication network, the coordinates of their homeworld extracted from the ancient battlefield data. All of it was encoded into a quantum packet, ready for transmission across space and time. As the final preparations were made, the Vril commander approached Quan privately. Your sacrifice will not be forgotten, they promised. Whether or not you survive, the Vril will remember the humans who changed the course of galactic history. Quan looked at her damaged ship, her wounded crew. We're not planning on dying just yet, Commander. The Vigilant still has fight left in her. The Vril's colors shifted to something like approval. Then perhaps this is not merely the end of one story, but the beginning of another. On the bridge, the enhanced quantum entanglement relay hummed with power as Dr. Wei made the final adjustments. Ready, Captain, he announced. The message is prepared. It will arrive at Earth Command approximately 6 hours before we encounter the Harvester fleet. Quan nodded, feeling the weight of the moment. Transmit. Energy surged through the ship as the quantum message launched, cutting across the barriers of space and time. On the tactical display, they watched the signal propagate, then vanish, traveling along paths science had only theorized until now. Transmission complete, Park confirmed. Message away. Around them, the Vril fleet moved into a protective formation. Their commander's voice came through the comms. The temporal ripples have been detected. The harvesters will sense the disturbance. Those that remain will come. Quan turned to her crew. They were battered, bloodied, lost far from home, with little hope of return. But in her eyes, she saw not defeat but fierce determination. "It seems the universe isn't done with us yet," she said, a grim smile forming on her lips. "Stations, everyone. We have a galaxy to change." The HSS Vigilant's remaining weapons came online, joining with the Vril fleet as distant sensors detected the approach of harvester ships, the scavengers of the fleet they had encountered, drawn to the temporal disturbance like predators to blood in the water. Across the vastness of space and time, in Earth's Defense Command Center, alarms sounded as a quantum signal arrived from nowhere. Officers scrambled as data poured in, schematics for a resonance weapon, tactical information about an approaching fleet, and a message that would change the course of human history. "This is Captain Ilara Quan of the HSS Vigilant. We stand alone against the harvesters, but you don't have to. We've found their weakness. We've found allies. Humanity will not fall today. The galaxy is watching, and for the first time in millennia, it dares to hope." In the Helix Nebula, 800 light-years away and centuries displaced from their own time, the crew of the Vigilant prepared for one final battle, not just for Earth, but for every species that had ever cowered before the Harvester's might. A single human ship had taught the galaxy that resistance was not futile, that courage in the face of overwhelming odds was not madness but the highest form of sanity, that even the most ancient and terrible enemy could be defeated. And as Captain Ilara Quan gave the order to engage, she knew that whatever happened next, humanity had already won. The impossible stand had become humanity's ascension, not just to survival, but to legend.